Hello and welcome to September's edition of Check It Out, which is a time that we talk to our pre-apprentice, our apprentices, and our full-time employees that have gone through all the process here at Bitwise. Heartfelt welcome to everybody, and shout out for joining us this evening for, again, our Check It Out, our monthly check-in, the second Tuesday of each month at 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. My name is Carla, and I am your host. If you are with us today, make sure that you're kicking it and talking in the chat. A little bit about Bitwise. I've been here since July, and it is my pleasure and honor to, again, be your host. And one of the best things about Bitwise is that we are all about the underestimated human being, the underdog. And one of the awesome things that we do is that we do not screen people. We don't ask for your education. Our workforce training classes are completely no experience necessary. We have a family of people that want to love and support you and nurture your career here in tech. We embrace every kind of personality. We are all underdogs right here with you. And today I have the pleasure of interviewing again three of our amazing Bitwise family members who are all parts of their journey, from maybe taking a class or two to four to being an apprentice that is a paid spot with us, and then someone that has gone through the entire journey from start to finish and is now working with us full time. A little bit about our technical classes. We have 4 pre-apprentice classes. The first one is Website for Beginners, and they last 6 weeks. They're 3 hours per week. And again, we have people, staff, and peers who are here to support you and who care about you and your success. And you're going to hear firsthand, again, these stories from, what Bitwise is all about and what we do. So at the heart of Bitwise, we do a lot of different things. We do workforce training, we do tech services, and we also have a co-working space for anyone out there looking for a place to work in all our different cities and locations, and we're always expanding. Which takes us to our first Bitwise homie, Jason Acosta in El Paso, Texas. This is one of our new and upcoming locations. So Jason, are you with us?
Hey, everyone.
Hey, Jason. What's up? Oh, yeah. Show us that shirt that you're wearing.
Oh, shameless plug for my band. Wearing my own merchandise. Right. You're not supposed to be that guy, but I am.
Oh, that's what we love about Bitwise. Jason is with us. He is from El Paso, 3rd, 4th generation Mexican-American. And he is here to tell you about his Bitwise journey. Do you want to tell us a little bit about our newest community in El Paso and what that's like?
Yeah, so I first heard about it through targeted ads on Facebook, kind of, ignored it and thought maybe that's the way I want to go. Then started seeing it on the news here that they were going to build a hub here that sounded really exciting, and I still kind of went, well, I don't know. This is something that I had put on the back burner for a long time. And then all the way up until a family member left an article in the local newspaper and said, just check this out and see what you think about it. So I jumped right into Websites for Beginners, and I haven't looked back since because it's been awesome.
That's so cool. Okay, and so did you have any prior experience in the tech industry?
I did, kind of starting in the early days of home internet. So when I was involved in kind of local music as a kid, my thing was like, how do we get this out to more and more people? And the internet was barely becoming a thing for a lot of people in their homes. And it was like, this is an opportunity. So the first website I ever designed was through a page editor that, in this day and age would just be considered like so outdated, and everything about it was just like wrong. For those that are even the least bit tech savvy, think about something that everything is an image and think about how long that takes to load. So there were no buttons, there were no things that ran through HTML correctly. Everything had to load through an image. So you're just taking up all this extra bandwidth just to have someone even get to your website. It was kind of ridiculous, and it was something that was kind of a pipe dream of mine that I let go of when I went into print media. And then moving forward, kind of got the idea like, okay, maybe this isn't working out for me at the time. I'm glad that things have changed a lot since then, for sure.
Yeah, and I know like as you were shamelessly plugging your band, what was the website that you first put together back in, like you said, like you were 2000, right?
Yeah, so the name we used to go by was Bring That Beat Back. And it was just a way that bands could just even just post like the dates that they were playing here in town. We would do like reviews. My joke that I had with Carla the other day was that it was just a kind of a shameless way for us to get into shows for free. Because we would tell people like, we'll cover your show and then we'll put it on the internet. And back then that was a big deal. Like, we'll get you online and we'll make sure that everybody knows about your show. And really what it was just a cool way for a bunch of 19 and 20-year-olds to get into uh, shows that we couldn't afford to get into half the time. But that's
I love that.
that's what the internet was back then.
Right. And, I think that was, you were like the Kurt Loder for those old timey people, at MTV, like, it's like you were just ahead of the time. So,
I just like to
all
say
right.
that we
So
used the word blog before the word blog existed. That's always been my kind of tagline.
that's awesome. And I think you're a Gen Xer, right? Just like me.
I
You
guess
consider, are you, sorry,
technically they say that we're on the cusp, but I was born in '80, so I'm technically a millennial and a Gen Xer at the same time.
all right, we'll go with that, but we're all great, right? I love all the generations. Okay. So you did that and then you decided like it's not for me. I'm gonna, go into print media, from a consular hustler to print media, and then what happened? Like what did you do
I
for a
did what
living?
a lot of people do. I went into the service industry because that's what the border plex is like. So I live in El Paso, Texas, right on the border, and everything in the mid 2000s up until even recently is very service oriented. Um, so I went from a bartender into management. Pretty happy for a long time. I found myself in a situation where I kind of felt stuck after a while. I thought I was going to move forward. I thought about going back to school. There's all those things that you go through at a certain age, like especially in your 30s, maybe where you're like, well, is this what I'm going to do with the rest of my life? I was married. I met my life partner in 2010 when we were both turning 30. Unfortunately, she had a autoimmune disorder, and during the height of the COVID pandemic, she did not survive that very bad time that a lot of us went through. Um, but so that left me with a stepson who's 16 now, and this idea that, well, either I go back into that service industry or I make a very big change, and that entailed maybe going back to college, and that was kind of daunting and scary to me. And like I said, something just kept putting this thing called Bitwise in my face. I saw it in an ad here, and then a family member there, and everywhere I looked, it was just kind of popping up. So I said, okay, $250. Let's see what it's about. And I've never had an experience like it because the community here has kind of changed where I how I look at learning something new at all.
That's awesome. Okay, so what has the experience been? Because I think you're on your third class, right? Is that
I'm on
is
my
that
third
right?
class, so going into websites for beginners, having at least like a baseline idea of what HTML was, because I'm not gonna say like, oh, well, I already had experience. I don't even consider that experience because that's so long ago and outdated. But I had a baseline idea of what it is, and that was cool. But I could see where someone who has no idea what coding is coming in, because when you have an instructor in your websites for beginner class, they know that everybody's on the same kind of level playing field. And when you jump in just into the nitty gritty of it. And everybody around you is in the same boat. And what's cool is that you have constant contact through Slack and all these other channels that we're able to talk to each other, and a community forms right off the bat. that's my favorite thing about Bitwise is that it turns into a community really quickly. You'll talk to your instructors, you'll talk to the people in your classes, and you'll talk to familiar people who aren't even in your classes. And everybody gets together and helps each other out. That's the best part of it.
Yeah, I think that's one of my very favorite things about Bitwise is the community that students form with each other, right? Like I went to college. I know you had some college, and it's usually very competitive, right? It's like you're on your own. It's like you want to be the best, and if it was, it's a little different. So you took your first class, and like having had back in 2000, right? Like this a little bit of experience. How was it? Besides, like was it easy to pick up? I know you talked about community, so share a little bit about your experience.
It was easy to pick up, but then there was also that thing that we all talk about, which is called imposter syndrome. There were times where I felt like I'm a fake, I'm a phony. I keep talking about things that happened 20 years ago. It didn't feel comfortable for me, but the community is what made me see like, no, you have kind of a good idea of what you want to do. Let's help you get to where you want to be. And right away, every turn that I tried to tell myself, like, I'm just not there. Maybe this isn't for me. There was always someone that was like, look, I can help you out here. And it was never like judging, like, oh, you're behind. It was always like, hey, let's just do this together. It's never even like, oh, let me show you the way. It's more like, let's do this together. So every project that I've had since day one has always been led by other people in the community that have jumped in and said, like, oh, you're having trouble with this? Let's take a look at it and let's all work on it. And everybody is super awesome at that. Every time that I've ever pulled back and I want to bring up the idea of people even, getting on to your next class, sometimes you might get this inkling that, oh, maybe I missed a concept or I'm a little behind, and I was scared to go to my student success specialist and say, I wonder if I should retake a class. And I felt kind of embarrassed. I was like, oh man, is that like failing? It's not a failure at all,
Not a
because
Bitwise, not a
just
Bitwise.
not a bit wise. Because even asking that question right away, it was like, it wasn't even like yes you should or no you shouldn't. It was do whatever you think you need to do, and that's what every question I've ever asked turns into. It's whatever you think you need to do, we're here to support you. And I've
I
felt
love that.
supported by every single person. I've never had anything that made me feel even close to judged. And I am my own worst critic, especially as a musician. Anyone can ask anyone. When I've walked off stage, people say like, "Hey, you had a good show," and I go, "We were all right." So
I think sometimes we're the hardest on ourselves, because
exactly.
we have these expectations, and I think what I love about Bitwise and the crew and the team is that we've all sort of been the experience that, right? We've all been underdogs. We kind of understand, and we just want everyone to be successful, And I know that you're going to share. Uh, what your upgraded website, right, from back in 2000, not what that looks like, but what your new one looks like. Do you want to share that with us right now?
Sure, yeah.
You're getting some love in the chat. Sufani
Uh,
says, Jason is so sweet and helpful. Awesome.
okay, sorry, I did not share that early like I was supposed to. There we go. Gary, are you
Oh,
able
you're
to?
all right. There we go.
Are we there?
Yep, we're there.
Okay, cool. So this is what I designed. This is my first project from Websites for Beginners. So this is not even where I'm at now, but you can see that we created something where we have a little bit of our media that's up on YouTube. We have a local player that's embedded, plays our music. I don't know if you guys can hear it. I don't want to try and talk over it, so I'm gonna pause it. But and then all our normal links that you would have to a band, ways to book us, ways to go to our Bandcamp and see what where you can buy, or actually just another shameless plug, you can listen to all of this for free. So that's all our music for free, but that's the general idea of what we have going on there. um, And I would have never been able to share that with people in a way that was comfortable for me at the time. Um, because I, again, like 20 years ago, said, I'm not doing that anymore. Let's pay someone to do it. And then going on tour, I remember thinking, like, man, I used to know how to do this. I wish I could do it on my own.
And
And
now
so
you do.
now we're there again, where I'm like, we don't have to pay someone to do that end of our media. I'll take care of it. So that's a good
That's
feeling to be able
awesome.
to do everything ourselves too.
I know that when we originally talked, as I was getting to know you, that you talked about a gentleman named Miguel, right? That he, like, the third class that you're like, I want to retake it. And he's like, well, it's up to you if you want to take it. But that one of the things about Bitwise is that personal touch that you've experienced that, right? Do you want to talk a little bit about that a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, once you're enrolled and having what we call our one-on-ones, talking to your students to a success specialist is your best bet, because they're always there for you. Whatever questions you have, whether it be about moving on to the next class, or hopefully, like me, fingers crossed, getting a what do you
The
call
paid
it?
internship.
Yeah, an internship. Getting paid to do what you love. It all falls into that same community. So every question I've ever had with Miguel has always been like, do it the way that you feel like you want to do it, but how can I help you also? And so every time that we've spoken, every time I thought, well, maybe I should take 6 weeks off, or maybe I should retake a class, or maybe I should do this or that. It was never like, well, here's what I think. It was, how do I help you get to where you want to be? And that's not just from the student success specialist, not to downplay what they do, but that's, again, the entire community. Everyone's always there for you on that level.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. I know that you're hoping, one of the cool things about Bitwise is as you continue taking these classes, you're eligible for the paid apprenticeship program where, it's a year-long paid apprentice actually doing the work. And I know you're thinking about project management apprenticing, and there's just all kinds of different routes. It's not just that you're going to learn, you come in to learn a website. Um, Tech is very vast, and Bitwise has a lot of different lanes that we work in. So I'm keeping
That
my
was the
fingers
last
crossed.
thing I wanted. That was the last thing I wanted to add too. Was that, I don't consider myself a coder, and I know I'm not a designer. um, as a musician, my head runs very analytically, and I don't see things in an aesthetic way. Things are pretty to me, or they're not. I'm not an artist in a visual way at all. So when I think about dealing with the industry that I used to be in as a bartender, or as also working as a co-wedding planner, a lot of it is, what does the customer need? And then so I see myself as someone who manages projects. So I want to understand the code, and I want to understand what we're able to do and what we're not able to do, and what we're able to create ourselves. If that doesn't exist yet, then how do we push forward and make it happen for someone? Those are the things that I feel like are collaborative, and that's what Bitwise is. It's collaborative.
It is. It's awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Jason. We'll bring you back towards the end to share some more wisdom. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed, right? That you continue on this great path, and that, you go through the journey that we're going to hear at the end from Monica, who's been from where you're at. And now we're going to hear from Ari, who is, currently in our paid apprentice program. So, all right. So we're going to go from El Paso, Texas to San Jose, California with our guest Ari, who is one of our paid apprentices currently learning. You're a React apprentice, right? Hey, Ari.
Hello. Yes, I'm a React web developer or
Whoa,
apprentice.
that's so cool. Yeah, well, no, you are. You're doing it, right? So, how are things in San Jose?
Well, it's doing great. It's super hot. How are you?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I'm in Modesto, so California. So it's not too bad actually. It's in the 80s today. So it was. I think that heat wave. Hopefully, fingers crossed, the fall is upon us, right? Um, but Ari is originally from Oakland. Went to Berkeley, right? No, we actually went to UC Davis. So tell us like your Bitwise story, like a little bit about who you are and how did you go from UC Davis to Bitwise?
So I started out. Um, well, in high school, I wasn't really a school person. I didn't do too well. And then, so I went to community college and kind of got my stuff together. And then I was able to transfer to UC Davis for economics. And I kind of fell into that through process of elimination. Like I didn't really have a goal in mind. I just went to school because my parents just told me to go to school. And so I got into economics, I graduated, and then I didn't know what to do with the degree. And I was like, oh, it kind of has to do with banking, so I'm just going to apply. And then so I got a job at Merrill Lynch in San Francisco. And I think in 3 months, I realized this is not what I want to be doing for the rest of my life. So I quit. And I had no experience. I had a degree that I didn't want to use. And so I was back to square one, trying to look for jobs for minimum wage. And then I found a job randomly and they hired me as a estate service manager. And so I was working in private estates. I just worked for a billionaire pretty much. I took care of his stuff. And it was cool at first because they paid me a lot. And then after 4 years, again, I was like, what am I doing with my life? I can't do this for another 50 years. So I quit. And I was back to square one. I had no skills. And now I'm like in my mid 20s and I need to find a job. And I'm back to minimum wage. And so I said, you know what, I hit up some of my friends who are in the same position and I said, let's start a business. I learned how to wash cars without using water. So we did that and we got the business running. We were able to pay ourselves. And about 3 years in, 2 years in, COVID hit and our business went from, 2 years of building it up back to square one. And so when we were like in the midst of COVID, a friend of mine who works for Bitwise, Sean Nunu, he hit me up and was like, what are you doing, dude? Do you have free time? Like, you should just study coding. Maybe you'll like it. Who knows? The classes are only $250. Like, it won't kill you. And so I took a couple classes and I actually really liked it. It was very surprising to me because for the last 7 years, I was doing physical labor. I didn't think I would want to sit behind a computer and code all day. It sounds crazy to me, right? And then next thing you know, like I ended up really liking it, and I continued with the classes, and I was offered the apprenticeship. And like finally, for the first time in my life, like I've learned a skill that can translate to other jobs, and other companies are looking for this type of skill. So like now I have something that's not worth minimum wage at least. And so
Yeah.
it's dope. I'm learning every day. The community's awesome. Everyone's super helpful. And I'm so glad I took that chance because, to be honest, there was a point where I was going to go back to the car wash because on after I took JavaScript, I was kind of lost. And the business started to pick back up because we kind of got a hold of how to work around COVID. And that's when Stephanie Moreno stepped in and she kind of reminded me why I took the classes to begin with. And like I'm so thankful for that because I'm so glad I'm out of that. This is so much
I
better.
know. That's so awesome. I love that story, right? I love that you went to a UC, which, if you're not in California, it's one of our big public institutions. Davis is, highly renowned, is a really good, and you're like, economics, right? When I first met you, I was like, so did you think you were going to become an accountant, and I hear that kind of often. Before Bitwise, I was a director of alumni and recent grads. They would graduate with this piece of paper, a degree, and really no skills. Right? You're like, I have this degree and I worked really hard for it, but I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do with it. And so I think that story is more often the case. That you're like, okay, I've been told I need to go to school because that's going to get me a better job, perhaps, or it's gonna open doors for me. But and then that you became an entrepreneur, which I think is also kind of cool. That you like went to school, got this degree, didn't work out, and I think that's a lot of our Bitwise people, right? Is that we have this resiliency an ability to like be like, all right, what's next, and that you're able to be like, all right, well, I'm not really a coder, but I'm not a computer guy. I know you told me that, but that this person, your friend, was basically like, don't worry about it. And so you took the class, you took the four, the four, and at what point did you get offered this apprenticeship?
I got offered it after the third class. So after I took the JavaScript class, I would say that everyone's experience will be different. I did take the classes. I think my first class was about 2 years ago. So um, the company has grown a lot since then. So I would say everyone's experience is different, and you know, I would have taken that last class regardless, even if I didn't get the apprenticeship, because I was really digging it. I'm a computer guy now.
That's awesome. All right. So one of the things that Jason said and that you said, and I'm sure Monica will also say, is this reoccurring thing of community, right? And I think in general, people are like, oh, it's like a community of of your students, right? But can you talk to me a little bit about what that feeling is like? I know that you said like for the first time there was a room full of people that were in the same position like you, that were kind of like, oh, like I'm not really sure, but everyone's been so kind and helpful. Like, share a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think um, I thought, at least going into the classes, in my mind, I was like, I'm going to be the oldest person here. Like, that's what I thought. Like, if it sounded like I was going back to school, that's what it sounded like. But when I showed up, it was completely different. There were people younger than me, but there were also people who were in the same position as me. You know, kind of still figuring out what they want to do. It, you know, I feel like choosing what you're going to do for the next 60 years of your life is a difficult thing for like an 18-year-old. And so, like, for me, like, it, honestly, it took me to 27 to really figure it out. And like, I was just surrounded by like-minded people, you know, and everyone's friendly, everyone's helpful. And that also made me want to help others as well. And I think the one cool thing um, about Bitwise is that I was never in a position where I can like teach something academically. It was always like physical labor stuff. Like, I'll teach you how to do something, but like, this is the first time like I can help people code. I can teach people how to code, because I think um, like the way I learn, I need to kind of like spell it out like I'm 5 years old. And like, so I know that a lot of people like to learn that way as well. And so that's what I love sharing my knowledge with people, and what Bitwise has taught me. So it was pretty dope.
I love that. I know you had said that you had never seen yourself as like a mentor or like a teacher and or a public speaker, and now you're doing all those things. And I know like you're going to share right now like the website of like a store, right? I think that you've made like a marketplace.
Yeah.
All right, let's see if we can get that, and you can maybe share that with everybody. And I think it's really nice. Dang, look at that.
Thank you. So I am a React developer. So this is built all on React and with a little JavaScript, but pretty much this is the store. I modeled it off of like any basic random store you would go to online. And I have this jumbotron, recurring. It just spins, and then when you go over it, it'll freeze. And then you can also use these tabs if you want to go to a specific slide. And if you go down, these are the cards. So like, these are all the items that you can add to your cart, and then you can add them to your cart. And when you do that, up above, it counts by the cart right here. And when you go to the cart, it's in the cart page, and then everything's added up. Sorry for the baby. And everything works too, which is pretty cool. It took me a while to figure this one out. And then you can remove items. And once there's nothing, it says this, and you can continue shopping. And then the last thing is I manipulated the data to create categories. And to put in perspective, 2 years ago, I knew nothing about code. And like, it's crazy that in just such little time, I was able to build all this by myself. And I had people to go to when I got stuck or had bugs, but all the code itself is written by me, which I'm like super juiced about because I'd never done a project this large by myself from start to finish.
I think that's so cool, especially, the age of technology that we're living in. So many people, like artisans, right? Like they want to sell their goods, they need to shop and all that kind of stuff, right? So luckily you are in our paid apprentice program, right? So you're getting paid. But even if you weren't, you could do the side hustle, right? It'd be like, okay, like, if you need a website, if you need a store, like all that has happened, right? And I think that's super cool. I mean, it looks really good. You're getting some love in the chat. People are like, that looks so good, again, I think one of the cool things is that you didn't have any skills like this and you wrote all this. It's not, it's not a third page editor, and you have that. So what has your apprenticeship been like? Are you been just like getting coffee for people, or like, what have you been working on?
Uh, I specifically now I'm working on client work. Um, I don't know if I can say what it is, so I'm not, but it's pretty dope. It's so cool to like work on a project that somebody is actually paying money for, and I just love getting actual real world experience. And the biggest thing is I can't wait to take my next step. Like I again like the first this is the first time in my life where like I'm ready to take the next step and I'm confident that I can do it. And whether it's at Bitwise or somewhere else, I hope I get hired at Bitwise in Oakland. But if that doesn't work out, I'm still happy. Like I got my skills. I'm ready to start applying. And that's something I couldn't have said a year and a half ago.
Right. I think, uh, we are hopefully soon. Another castle is going to go up in Oakland, and I'm excited to go visit that. And I don't know, I think your chances are good. Obviously, I don't have any say in that, but it just, I love that you're, I think on the way to, you're already great, right? But to become an official part of Bitwise. So thank you so much for sharing that. We're going to, hand you back to the virtual universe and bring you back at the end to share a little bit more and give some wisdom for those people that are on the fence about taking a class and like being unsure. Again, our next cohort starts in a week from now, on the 19th, I believe. The classes are 6 weeks. One class is like you said, $250. If you cannot afford that, talk to us. We will try to find, remove any barrier that we can to try to get you, to try it out, to check it out, right? And I don't know if we didn't talk about Miss Happy, but I know that we'll bring her back. Hopefully, you can bring her back towards the end. And Miss Happy is your very lovely pug that I am deeply in love with. So I think everyone should see this beautiful little pug creature. So we'll bring her towards the end.
I'm actually
You're
near
not
at
there?
home. No, I'm gone.
Oh no!
I'm in my
Oh, all
cousin's
right.
house.
Well.
I'll send
Tell
photos.
Miss Happy, yes, yeah, we'll definitely send photos. So, all right, thank you so much, Ari. We'll talk to you in a couple more minutes.
No problem. Thank you.
Awesome, beautiful, beautiful things. Yeah, and so I know that people are chatting, and if you have questions, please drop them in the Q&A. Right towards the end, we'll bring everybody back and answer some of those questions. And if your question does not get answered, do not worry. One of us will get back to you. We'll follow up with you in person. That's one of the Bitwise ways, is that we really like the personal connection. You're not just a number to us; you're a human being, and we do our very best to get back to you and try to help you navigate the waters through Bitwise. So up next, we have the incredible Monica Dominguez from Fresno. There she is.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, there's Monica is with us, and I had the pleasure of talking to Monica earlier today and getting to know her. She's like, you've gone the full cycle. You've gone from one class to the entire program to the paid apprentice to now officially a paid full-time person. We call each other Bitwise pals. So that's like, colleagues that you're in it, right? And so tell us a little bit about you. I know you're from Fresno. What's your story?
So I am from Fresno. I've been born and raised here all my life. I am a mom. I love my family very much. And yeah, I mean, I came across Bitwise on pretty much on accident. And I'm so glad I did.
That's awesome. So what was your career like, before Bitwise?
So before Bitwise, I was well, before I wasn't employed for a while because I had become a new mom again after 20 years. And so I had to start all over. So I wanted to get back into the work field. So I basically got a job in the dental field again. And I thought, okay, yeah, I knew what I was doing because I did it before. And so I thought, yeah, this is where, I needed to make money. I needed to get something going because I needed to support my family. So yeah, I got a job at a dentist office and I thought that was going to be my career. And my it was crushed when COVID hit. I got laid off, and so I was back at square one again. So I was like, "What do I do?" And so um, I had a friend reach out to us and let us know that this wonderful place, Bitwise, was here in Fresno and was willing to train you if you took the classes. And I looked into it, and I didn't know anything about coding. I've been a techie person before, but never did coding before. So I was like, I'm joining this and I'm just taking a chance because I had nothing else I didn't have anything to lose. So yeah, I started taking classes and I ended up taking 3 classes. I took websites for beginners. I did really good in websites for beginners. The first class that I took, I was really surprised because the community that was supporting you, I've never felt that at school. I went to college. I took classes for like medical billing. I did it before and I've never had a class that supported you so much. And I didn't know anything about it. And so that like intrigued me. And so it intrigued me to take the second class. I took mobile friendly. I liked it. I did really well in that class. And I was like, I can't stop now. I better keep going. And this is before I even knew about the apprenticeship program. So I took the JavaScript class. Didn't do too good in that class because I was learning at a fast pace, so I couldn't comprehend it very well. But you know what? I showed up every day. I had a great teacher. I had great students, helping me, and that's what kept me going.
Yeah, I know that you talked about that, and that when you came onto Bitwise, again, the community, right? Everyone keeps talking about like, oh, it's the community of like support and love,
Yes.
and one of the things that I loved about what you had shared with me privately was that you took the class and then you never wanted to leave. You're like, oh my gosh, like this is such a cool, like everyone is so nice, right? Everyone
Yes.
is really supportive, and I do think that's really special, especially for, I think sometimes people are like, what's the catch, right? Like, oh, like, yeah, we are not a non-for-profit, right? It's like it's $250, like it's an investment. Again, if you don't have that, like, don't let that stop you. Like, we'll find a way to get you, through our virtual doors for now. But and then you didn't know anything about it, right? And
Hmm.
so, uh, and that you didn't give up. I think that's one of the cool things about you is that you're like, well, I gotta, you told me that you had to fight for everything, right? And so you showed up, and so then how did you like? So you weren't doing well in the third class, and then how did this apprenticeship like show up?
Well, I got a call right after I finished my class. I mean, I was kind of on the fence of maybe I join the next class and just kind of show up and see if I could learn it. But then I got the call from Stephanie Moreno, and she assured me that, you know, I did a great job and that she wanted to pick me up for an apprenticeship. And I was like in shock. I was like, really? I was like, okay. And she's like, have you ever heard of online marketing? And I said, I mean, I used to do marketing, you know, back in the day, but it was like not online marketing. So I really knew nothing about it. And she kind of explained to me what I was getting myself into. And I was like, yeah, why not? You know, I'll try it. So I got to thank Stephanie for reaching out to me and, yeah, accepting me into the apprenticeship.
And I think that's really cool. So one of the things I think I'm new at Bitwise still, and so I always think like, oh, so you take a website class and then you're going to become an apprentice for website development. That's
Mm-hmm.
what I originally thought, right?
Right.
But it's not the case. Like, you know, it's sort of like you. I think one of the things that we do, our team does, right, is like they're not looking for the best candidate. They're not looking for like the best website. Like, oh my gosh, the the score, there's no scoring. It's sort of like that person is dope, they're working hard, they're showing up, and they're nice to somebody, and nice to the people, to everyone else in the community, right, in your classroom, people that are taking classes with you, right,
Exactly.
and that they see, but it's like people see potential. And I think that's the coolest thing about Bitwise, is that that's not traditional, right? It's like that it's normally about the best, that's who we're going to get, but and not that you weren't great, right, but
Mm-hmm.
that someone saw potential in you,
Yes.
because you're a good human being, you know. And so you took the class, you did the apprenticeship, and then how did you, like, all of a sudden you're like, I'm full time?
Yeah, that was like, it was a surprise to me because I didn't know I was going to get the job until like the end of my apprenticeship. It went over like a year. And so I mean, I wasn't really worried about it too much. I mean, regardless, the apprenticeship was enough for me to be thankful to even given that opportunity. And I always thought, oh, maybe I can get hired somewhere else. But my goal was to get hired with Bitwise. So I just was very hopeful, but I wasn't like putting too much pressure on it, you know? So yeah, when I got the call from Janae, she let me know that I was picked to be an online marketing traffic coordinator, and I was so surprised because um, like why me, you know? But yeah, you're right. Like you have to be yourself and you have to give it your all regardless. And it's not that I knew everything. It was just like I was myself and I was good to my peers. And I think they've seen that. So if you have that type of attitude, I mean, it's inevitable. Like they will see that potential in you and you can get a position with Bitwise.
Yeah, I love that. And one of the things I wrote in my notes was that you said it's not every day that someone's going to offer you a great
Yeah.
position for a great company, right? And you're like, not where I come from,
Right.
right? And I think I feel the same way. And I'm such gratitude that, I don't know, like it seems unreal. And you've been here, from since 2020. And,
Hmm.
when we first I'm like, is it still great? And you're like, yes, it is. I love it,
It is.
and yeah. And I think that's just the Bitwise way. As we continue to grow and expand, I think our founders and, our three EOs, are really trying to maintain that, of we're doing things a little different. We're kind and compassionate, and give grace and tolerance, and patience as much as you can. So
Yes.
I'm so glad that we are Bitwise pals,
Yes.
and now I have like an insider on like the online marketing. Like I know that, hey Monica, like what is this? And way more than I do. And I think
Yeah.
that's another thing that I've in my short time at Bitwise have seen, is that everyone's really kind and like willing to kind of, teach you of like, here's where to go, here's how we do it, and just go with the flow, right? Like just keep
Yep.
showing up as yourself. So thank
Yep.
you so much. All
You're
right,
welcome.
yeah, thanks so much, Monica. We'll bring you back here. We're
Okay.
going to do some polls with our friends that are with us online. We got 3 fun polls for you. If you're considering taking a class, um, you know, uh, really think about it. Hopefully you heard from Jason, Ari, and Monica, that we do things different around here. So the first poll is that hopefully you can all participate in is, why are you interested in taking a class? Or why were you? I know that we have some current students, some people in the pre-apprentice that are here cheering on, Jason and Ari. But all right, so passionate about tech, one. As you heard, none of our three guest speakers today were, I want to be in tech. It's like just where they were in life. It was mostly a career change, something that they wanted to do. And for that one person that said, I'm not sure, just try it. Like everyone has said, just try it. And, we will do our best to have you be successful and help you find your way. So thank you again for those people that took the poll. Our next question coming up is, what is the biggest thing preventing you from taking a course? So let's see, course price. As I said, our first class is $250, or all our classes are $250. We do have financial assistance, equipment and laptops. We have laptops that we try to loan out. We do have a limited supply, but we try to figure that out for you. Even Wi-Fi, childcare, all kinds of whatever barrier you have, your student success specialist will try to work with you to try to get that through. Technical knowledge, you don't need any. You don't need to go to college. You don't have to. It really is just be open and willing to try it out and show up as yourself and ask lots of questions. And the time commitment. Our classes are in the evenings, so I know that there are students, pre-apprentices that work full time and they hop on in the evening. It's only 6 weeks, so in 6 weeks you'll just think like you're either fall in love with us, which I think is mostly the case, that you'll get a new family, a new Bitwise family, and people that love and support you. So thank you all. And then we're gonna go with a fun question, our last poll before we bring the awesome people back. Hand on your heart, be honest. Is anyone, it is kind of late here, so is anyone wearing pajamas right now? I'm going to be honest and say, yes, I am ready for bed because I am a Gen Xer. And one of the best things about, I like a no 7 people, but people are wearing yes. Best thing about doing things virtually and, showing up this way is that we get to still be comfortable in our clothes. And we're excited to open our doors soon, hopefully in 2023, and bring students back how and when it makes sense. First and foremost, at Bitwise, we're about safety and taking care of our people. So that's, right now everything is virtual, which is a great time to hop on and join the Bitwise gang. So thank you all for participating and playing. That last one, again, is just to kind of give you an idea of our culture, our company culture. We like to have fun at Bitwise. I can't even tell you how many fun things we do. Even the apprentices have game night and movie night, and they have study group, and it just seems like there's always something fun to do at Bitwise, which I'm very astonished by. So let's bring everybody back. We have about 10 minutes left before we end. I want to honor everyone's time that is joining us today. Thank you again, Jason, Ari, and Monica, for sharing your story and being authentic and keeping it real, right? It's kind of how we do it around here. So let's see. Let's go to the Q&A. All right. Looks like we have 3 votes for where can I find a description of course content like a syllabus. So that is a great question. Does anyone on the call? I don't think it works like that. Basically, I think you sign up, you send us an email, you sign up, and Ari's shaking his head. So who wants to take that one on?
I think I got it. I think any questions you have regarding the classes, I would reach out to a student success specialist. They will have all the answers for you.
Yep. I think that's true. And again, we're not like a college, right? It's really like come in 6 weeks and learn how to do a website, right? And so I think that's kind of, it is kind of scary because like, what does that look like, And but as you heard from everybody, they've all taken that class and they all loved it, right?
There is a curriculum and a syllabus when you do sign up.
Yeah, you'll see it on day one, and I'll just back up what Ariel's saying. It's like when once you jump in, you'll see what the whole curriculum is, and it's easy to go down the line once you have it in front of you. But it gets really self-explanatory once you're there. The best way is just to jump in.
Just sign up. Okay. So the next question is, let's see, what does that say? I have experience in web design and development already, and I'm unsure of my skill level. I'm really interested in React and JavaScript. Which class do I start with? It's a great question.
I
Who
could
wants to
take
take that one? All right, go for it,
it.
I
Ari.
think Ariel needs to answer that.
I would recommend just taking all of them, but if you don't want to focus on HTML and CSS, then you could start with JavaScript because you don't really need any HTML, CSS experience for JavaScript. Um, but I think if you were looking for an apprenticeship, I would definitely take all four just to make sure your skills are well rounded. And then, Bitwise can really see the skills that you possess.
100%. And I think I think I mentioned that earlier, but it's a good way for us to get to know you, right? So a lot of people are like, how do I work at Bitwise? We get lots of emails daily from people saying like, I have experience, like, how do I get in, right? And like, this is kind of a way for Bitwise to get to know you, for the team to get to know you. Also, if you think that you got what it takes already, send us an email, go onto our website and say like, hey, I'm interested in, here's my resume, and someone from our HR team will get back to you as soon as they can. So if that's where you're at, like, hit us up. We're always looking for great people to join the team.
That being said,
All
just
right.
to add to that, I know as a current student, I know people who jumped in further down the line into React or JavaScript and then went backwards because they did exactly that. They said, well, I have a little bit of experience, and then said, you know what? I kind of want to brush up on this again. So you could do it whichever way you want, honestly. That's what's great about
Yeah.
it. You can kind of look at it any way you want to.
Oh, this is a good one. Hi, I live in Chicago. I know most of my classes provided are in person and state for me. How different would my experience be from others? Thanks. Who wants to take that one? Because right now we're all virtual, right? So I guess I'll take that one. Again, hit us up. Our classes are virtual. We are continuing to expand in different cities. So I don't know. I think everyone here learned virtually, right? No one did in like in-person classes because they all kind of came in during the pandemic. Is that correct?
Yeah. I would note that there are East Coast and West Coast classes, so just make sure you choose the time zone that works best for your schedule.
Yeah.
And
So
I'm in a city where we don't even have a building built yet. So I started virtual from the beginning, and I thought that would be a handicap, and it has not been one at all. It's been awesome to still be part of a community this way.
yeah, and we're very excited. Again, we've expanded to, I think we're at 9 cities and continue to expand. And we build castles for the underdog, right? That's kind of one of the things that we do, which is spaces. And like you said, like we're not our buildings are not up yet, right? They're very if you ever get a chance, they're tailored for our communities and for our students, really, for people that work there. They're really really pretty cool. So exciting to see what those will look like in these new cities, right? And to visit them as we continue expanding. All right, we have about 4 minutes. We'll do this last question, and then I want to give you guys an opportunity to last thoughts, some inspiration for people that are considering taking a class. So I had taken beginners and mobile, but have not been at Bitwise about 6 months. Should I need to take Java? I
I
think
would.
the answer is yes.
Yes,
Yep.
I would take it just because like Jason said, like he had a friend that went backwards because you can get, you can kind of get lost if you don't know all the steps or for all the classes. So yes, I would take the JavaScript. I would
Yeah.
take them all. If you can get to the React too, that's a beneficial class also.
Yep.
But I also want to
Like,
throw in what the student specialists have told us before too. You could take those 6 months, and as long as you stay part of the community on Slack with your student success specialist, with all your former people that you've worked with, you're still part of the community even if you're not currently enrolled in the class, and that's a big thing too.
Mhm.
Nobody's trying to make you be in class. You can take a break in between classes for the next 6 months, and then, or I mean, 6 weeks. I'm sorry, 6 weeks, and then do the class the next term around.
Yeah.
You're still enrolled. You're still a part of the Slack community with us. You're still Geekwise, and so we're always going to be there for you. The only thing I think that you're not allowed to do is the study groups during that time. But so otherwise, you still have access to the community that you're friends with and that you're able to talk to. You can work on the same projects. You can still talk to people. You're never excluded just because you're not in a class. Once you're in, you're a part of it, and that's a big thing to me also.
yeah, I love that. Again, Bitwise is no one belongs here more than you. And so we're not about like, okay, you took a class, see you later. We're not about the numbers. We're about the people behind, behind the screen, because you're all human beings and you have lives. And it's just, I don't know. I'm still in awe that I'm like, I get to be part of this and bring in, share your guys' story and just get to hear like how great it is. It's like, I can't stop smiling. My cheeks almost hurt. Like, 'cause I'm like, it's so great. Again, no one here is being paid, right? We're well, besides Monica and I, because we're full time employees, but and Ari's an intern, but they weren't paid. They were just asked, so would you come share your story and check it out? So, all right, so we got like I think a minute or two, 1 minute. So I'll give you guys 30 seconds each. So what are the last things what would you tell a student that is on the fence? What's your words of advice, words of wisdom? We'll start with Monica.
My words of wisdom would be, if you're on the fence of taking a class, um, don't wait. Like, don't wait. I would just do it, and I promise you will be happy and you will be glad that you started that class. You will probably be sad that you didn't start sooner. So just take the class.
Thank you, Monica.
You're welcome.
All right, Jason, sounds like you agree.
For sure. Take one class. And even if you think that maybe you can't afford it, then look into the resources that Carla said. Look into getting a loaner laptop. Look into also even getting your first class paid for, because you can do that if you get in early enough and you talk to someone. It's possible. All of this is possible to do. Give it one shot. If you don't like it, don't do it. But I promise you're going to be hooked like the rest of us, because it's been nothing but amazing from day one. So give it one shot, everyone. One shot.
All right,
Yeah,
what you got for us?
I'll make it quick. I agree with everything they said. They literally took the words out of my mouth. I would definitely do it. Don't wait, because I wish I did this 10 years ago if it was available.
I love that. I know. I'll finish with this. That Monica's like, oh, I wish I would have taken it sooner. I wish I would have known sooner, right? And I think, the journey, our life journey, our career journey. There's always a reason. There's a time and a reason for everything. So if you were with us today and you got to, hear these exceptional stories, like they're constant. Like next month we'll have new people and they'll talk about how nice everyone was and what a community and how like it's going to be like the same kind of thing, right? Because it's true. At Bitwise, no one belongs here more than you. And I just want to say thank you to everyone that joined us. Thank you guys for sharing your story with me and for everybody, and just being like really inspirational people. It's an honor to know you guys, and you are family, whether you're full-time apprentice or a student. You're always part of our Bitwise family, and so it's just been great. And I also want to say thank you to our tech team that's behind the scenes that helps us put together these events. It's they don't get the spotlight, but they do so much to get us all prepared. So thank you so much, and we'll see you next month, the second Tuesday of the month, 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time with new people who are on the Bitwise journey. Bye, guys.